Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft, and in today's episode, we're going to be reinventing the wheel. I've got an idea for a contraption, and I scratched my head and I thought, how can we do this thing that's been done time and time again, that other people have already done on this server, in this season? How can we do it different? I got a really cool idea that I think is going to be super duper effective. So we need to fly over to the swamp where our witch farm is, that is in that direction. And you're probably wondering, Asuma, why do you not just take the Nether tunnel? You build a Nether tunnel over there and now you're flying in the sky. Well, we got our sugarcane farm and our gunpowder farm set up, so now I can use all the rockets that I want. And I felt like flying over there. And on my way over there, I do want to mention that a certain episode that people are looking forward to in this season is coming up, and it may land on a certain date that would be very fitting for that episode, but it is going to be a bit of a stretch to make such a high production episode land on that particular date, right? So the last thing that I want to see, if it doesn't happen to come out on that date, is lots of people saying, it should have been on this date, you know, because I can see it coming. You put a whole bunch of effort into an episode and then people are all talking about the date. So I want to mention that now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll know when it arrives. And around here somewhere there should be the swamp. I think I've actually sort of gone, let's see, north. Yes, I've gone more north when this thing is actually south. So those buildings that we saw a moment ago were stress monsters, I believe. And somewhere around here there should actually be a UFO and a giant stress monster statue. Unless this is some sort of other project that I'm unaware of. Look at that! It's a pink Bumbo Cactoni with giant rabbit ears. There's the Stress Monster statue. Man, Stress's Swamp is really, really cool. I fly over this every now and then when I head over to the Mesa, but I never actually pay too much attention to what's going on around here. There's the UFO. This place is looking pretty superb, and I believe it is just south of here somewhere that our part of the swamp is. However, I'm having a pretty lousy time locating it at the moment, right? Well, it gives me time to throw up something on the screen while I fly around looking for this, okay? I do live streams on twitch.tv/Asumi. You've probably heard me talk about it many times, but what I've done in the past is generally just live streamed every other day at roughly around a similar time with no sort of plan as to what I'm actually going to be playing, right? And I've decided that I'm going to change that now. What we're going to do is have a fixed schedule. On Wednesdays, I will be streaming Fullcraft. On Fridays, it will be Hermitcraft. And then on Sundays, it's going to be Super Hostile, which is an old map, and it's something that I play with my patrons and my Twitch subscribers live on the stream. However, it's not always going to be Super Hostile. Sunday will basically be the day where we do things together, as we've done mod packs in the past. And so the idea is that the streams will last about 90 minutes to 2 hours. The Super Hostile on a Sunday will pretty much always last 2 hours. And I will try to start very prompt on those times on your screen. Now, in the description box down below, you can find a link to a time zone converter, which will basically tell you what time it is where I am, and then you'll be able to make up the difference in your head and know what time I'll start streaming at. So my plan is to be very prompt, and then you can rely on me to stream on those particular days. And I'm hoping this means that it's a bit more structured and people will be able to catch me live. So, welcome back to the world and not looking at that image. And I've just been flying around in circles, man. I don't know where this is. Like, I thought it was sort of like adjacent to False's Swamp, but I just can't find it. So I'm going to have to settle down here and have a look at my map. Well, it turns out that I was kind of right the first time. I was heading in the right direction. The thing is, the swamp ends in front of us, and I've remembered this incorrectly. There is actually like another biome as a border between our two areas, because there is another swamp just over here. Perfect timing. There's a bunch of torches. Man, if I'd have just headed in that direction for like 10 seconds more, not even that, we would have found our way over here. We need to count to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. That was perfect. And what I want to say is one of the worst things you can do in this game is counting on camera. No. It's using something someone else has already built. So when I was last over in this area, I expressed an interest in making a blue flower farm. At the time we needed it for dyes, and now I think I need them to just put in my swamp. I thought the blue flowers would look pretty good next to all of that water, right? The colours would match and it would bring the swamp to life. Now, what I don't want to do is what many of you told me to do, which is to go and use Mumbo's flower farm. Do you know why? Because I think it's going to be pretty boring if our episodes just consisted of traveling to other people's farms and using them. We would end up with nothing left to do on this server, and what is so great is that there's a load of imaginative people here who can come up with awesome designs for some of the concepts you see over and over again in Minecraft. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to reinvent the wheel once again, like I said earlier in the episode. I've got an idea for a design for a flower farm that I don't think I've ever seen anyone use before, so I'm really keen on doing that, and I'm setting up a beacon here so we can dig out a hole. We've got plenty of space to build this, as I'd like to build it right near our witch farm and slime farm, which is down below us, and that means when we come through the nether portal to use this place, we also got a flower farm on hand. The farm we're going to build will use a little bit of redstone, so it's good to know that our supply will be replenished while we're in the area. I've been hearing witches falling down and landing on the magma block. Just none while we're recording, of course. And by the way, I love this room right here. We're going to end up making this a permanent entrance through to this little area, which will allow you to look into the slime farm, which is currently disabled. And then over in this direction is how you'll get to the flower farm. And we are not going to worry about decorating this room or anything like that at the moment. We're just going to jump straight into building it. So this marks the middle of the room. And this farm is actually going to be quite large and quite fast. It is going to be 10 by 10, which means we're going to have these 4 segments of 5 by 5, which we can put a dispenser in underneath at the middle. So the middle of it is 1, 2, that one right there. We'll have a dispenser underneath facing upwards, and so we're going to have 4 places that are going to be bone mealing this grass and making the crops grow. And what I'm going to do in here as well is just throw in a little bit of dirt to save on the grass blocks that I have. Just a reminder, this is going to be quick and dirty. This ain't about making no farm look pretty. And I'm going to tell you what the trick is here. We're going to be using a flying machine to collect everything that's going to be on top of the grass. I knew I was going to say it wrong again. I always do that, don't I? So then we got our dispensers down below, which are going to be able to put a lot of bone meal into this thing, and our flying machine can go back and forth, knocking all of the drops into some hoppers that I'm going to be installing on either side. This is going to be a really sweet project, trust me. I gotta say something, people. I'm hyped for this project, man. This is gonna be amazing. And as I was about to get going here, I realized something. I looked at the grass and I thought, hang on a second, we've gone in the direction of that other biome. So over here we've got plains as well. Now that's not actually a downside, because it means we can get more types of flowers from this thing, right? So building it on a biome border is a happy accident, but because of that I decided to extend it over in this direction so that we have plenty of swamp as well. Now if I get rid of these stone blocks at the bottom, I believe we are then good to go. We just need to activate this thing, and we are testing it live for the first time. It's coming towards me, and what it should do is go back across. Oh, and it does! Oh, and this is amazing. Okay, let's go. Can we bone meal it from underneath? I think we can. There you go, and it pops some stuff off, and it pushes it down to the edge here. Look at that, from one piece of bone meal, we got a couple of flowers. So I'm going to run around here and just right-click a whole bunch of times. That's what the dispenser's job is, of course. And this is just going to continue going back and forth, right? I really need to be able to see what's going on up there. It's so fast coming back and forth. Oh, that's great. So it's dropped off loads of items here again. Some things are popping off the sides, but we will build walls there. And what should happen is all the items should get deposited at either end. So we've got no need for an elaborate rail system underneath or any sort of water system as well. We just pick this stuff up with hoppers, which I should have put in my inventory. In fact, that was the other thing I was supposed to prepare. I'm always preparing stuff in between recording. When I next hit record, make sure you got lots of hoppers, things like that. So if we add like another wall in the correct position over here, it means that all the items are going to get pushed off and they're just going to land on top of those hoppers, and then they can come through to a chest. That is so awesome. And I think you've seen pretty much everything to this farm now, right? So the other thing we can do is that, and it will stop it over here. Those stoppers have now been adjusted and repositioned, which means that the machines will stop like this. So they will come over and push everything into this space here. If this were to stop one block over there, then it might not push something off on the last bit. So everything should get popped off, and let's send it over there. And I can't remember if I locked that one. It looks like I hadn't, so I'll lock this one. And this should contain all of the items. I haven't done a test yet. Can I reach a bone meal? I can. Let's do this live then. Kind of look, yep, everything's getting pinged in the right direction. You can see some seeds there getting pulled across. Excellent. So, as far as collecting the items go, we've got our hoppers. Basically, you just come over here and access the chest, right? And the stuff is in there. Pretty cool. Now, when it comes to giving this thing bone meal and activating it with redstone, I've realized that might be a little bit tricky. I think we're going to have to power the redstone, or sorry, the iron ore blocks below, right? So this floor here, this height is reserved for redstone, and above it is where our hoppers are going to go. And I don't think actually the two of those together is going to be too much of an issue. What is getting the bone meal into these dispensers, because each one is going to require its own line like that, right? We can't sort of merge them together. And then it gets even more complicated when you're thinking, how do we split a single source of bone meal into 6 different sets of hoppers? So I figured we'd start off with the easier of the two, and I'm so pleased with how quickly this has come together and how good of a little redstone circuit this is going to be. It's basically a simple solution for something which I didn't really think about too much in the beginning, okay? So I started off by placing our repeaters like this so that they would sort of power along and chain that for each of the dispensers, right? Because the iron blocks power the dispensers above, and all of the redstone can be in this level here. The thing with that is it meant that everything had to be powered from one direction, and that got me thinking. So I laid down the redstone like this, and from this repeater on this side you can power every single piece of iron block which powers the dispenser, and I've forgotten to put a couple of pieces of redstone over on this side. Now you'll also see that with this repeater here we can do the same thing. We can power all of the other sides, so we're going to have a similar circuit to the one I just made a moment ago. And the idea here is pretty simple. When the machine comes over to the end, it's going to activate this thing, and that can send a redstone signal downwards, and we can chain it into that which powers the dispensers. Now what's really cool about that is it means that when the flying machine that harvests everything is in its, let's say, resting position, right, when it's over at the end like that, that's when all of the dispensers are going to be powered, ready for it to fly all the way over to the other side. It gets over here, okay, this thing automatically powers it, and it goes back across again. We just got to give this thing a test run now, really, don't we? And I want to demonstrate something. When you lock this thing, you're going to activate all of the dispensers, right? So let's put that there. I've given them all bone meal. Look at that. That's awesome. That is such a good sight right now. When we turn this off, it's not going to power them again. So it's not going to use any more bone meal until it's reached the other side. This is like absolutely perfect, and I don't know what happened there. Maybe they did actually get activated a second time. And it did it over there as well. That's kind of strange. That I do not understand. Oh, it probably is activating it a second time. So let's go down here and see what's going on with the redstone. I'd like a good view. Oh, it blinks several times. Right, that's not something that we want. Okay, well, a solution to that might be just to extend the length of this. Let's do that and see how it works. So it's coming over this side. It's going to get powered. Ah, no, 2. Okay, so I need to add a little bit more redstone here. Here's the other cool thing, though. When I lock this, it's going to actually power immediately. So that part might not actually be as efficient as I thought a moment ago. But either way, it's all promising, right? We're getting exactly what we need from this, which is loads and loads of flowers. I've found a solution, and it involves comparators. This is a signal decay clock right here, and its output is that repeater. So let's watch what happens when this thing comes in here. The redstone, you can see it gets powered, it starts to decay, it gets powered again, and then eventually that repeater turns off. So this blinks a whole bunch of times. A repeater on the 4th setting will mean it blinks twice, and when that powers this, the output is always on, which is the key trick right here. You see that? This stays on. So that's going to power all the dispensers down below, and then it will turn off and everything will be absolutely fine. I'm going to redo that redstone and make it look a little bit nicer, maybe a little bit more hidden. But anyway, right now what I want to do is some AFKing, because it's the middle of the day for me. I need to take a break, get some food, and yeah, time for an AFK session. Hi, Mr. Creeper. What you doing in my base? Hi, I see you. I see you up there hanging out. You can't come down from there because there's a wall in your way. I should totally name tag it. Oh, but it might blow up as well. Okay, this fella's going to be known as Creep. I think that worked. The name tag's gone. Where else would it have gone? I'm back from my break. It's now raining heavily outside, so you might be able to hear that. And I swear this farm is cursed or something, because After an hour or two of being AFK, I've got an 8 redstone and stacks of the other stuff, which always seems to be the case here on either side. It feels like you're always getting tons of the other materials, but not the redstone. I don't know why these witches are dropping hardly any of it, but that's a very consistent thing that I've seen over here. And good news with the flower farm, it's working, the project's finished, everything here is just fantastic. So, what you're looking at here is a chest full of bone meal. It's feeding the bone meal across like this. When it gets to the end, there is a comparator there, and it turns off the redstone torch and it unlocks the hoppers down below. This is a design you may have seen used with furnaces before, and what you can also see by opening this is that the bone meal stays there until it drops down from above and the next one goes in. So it distributes everything equally. There are 6 little paths of hoppers going to each of these. It will also fill this thing up faster than it actually uses the bone meal, which is pretty cool. And I think actually the one thing you might be able to comment on with this farm is that it may be a little bit slow, which is why everything is working so well, because there isn't a lot of timing issues. I've redone the circuit over the end here. I'm trying to hop up top to show you the farm in action. Oh yeah, and another thing, it can unload all of the items it gets in these hoppers quick enough. So by the time this thing comes back again, there will be no items in this hopper here, which is moving them into there. And it's only been running for a few minutes, and already we've got stacks upon stacks of these, which is why I built this. And of course now we can use some of these other ones to get dyes as well. All in all, it's been a pretty fantastic project. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my base. I don't know why, I felt like doing the intro while I was over here, and I was like, hang on, we're halfway through an episode. What is wrong with me sometimes? What is wrong with me, I tell ya? Now, no, I'm not going to burn down all the bushes, don't you worry. We're in here because I was investigating the flying machine earlier and found out that this thing got stuck midway. So it's been running on a clock for quite some time. I believe this one here is the one that I need to activate. That was unexpected. You should surely do something when I give you a block update. Oh, okay. So it was the other one, and activating that one did nothing. Interesting. Anyway, it's doing its thing. Let's get out of here before it mows us down. I'm going to turn off the automated part of this now, which is that button there. Bam. It will no longer operate itself automatically, only when I come over here and tell it to. If we look at how much sugarcane it collected, if I can open that one's full. This one is full. How's the gunpowder doing? Almost full in the second double. That's fine by me. Plenty of sugarcane in reserve, I reckon. And man, what a cool project that was to do, right? The roof! The roof! The roof is on fire! Let it burn! Let's punch that out. No, we're not going to let it burn. Oh, so that thing broke, by the way, because I must have logged out when it was in mid-flight. That's the only explanation I know of for when it does things like that. And how do we do this before? Ender pearls. I got no ender pearls on me. It's time for our pro moves again, because I want to grab something from... I pressed spacebar, damn it! Also, it's nice to see that that is working, and also I'm in the progress of changing the colour from white to black. Looks much nicer, doesn't it? But we'll talk about that when it's finished. And if we fly up here and spin around, we are farming something that we need for the outside area. Just over here, we have lily pads. We also got string, and ink sacks, of course. We also got string. I'm going to put some of that in my redstone chest. I just get instantly distracted whatever I do in this game, right? We've also got string. That's important because I was looking in my string chest earlier. I was crafting some dispensers for the project and noticing that we don't have a lot. Apart from that, we don't really have a string farm, which is something I might want to do. I've got some spider spawners somewhere around here. You might remember that from an early episode. It's very dark around here. Let's go and sleep in the bed. It is still a bit dark in areas of this place. I don't know what is up with that, but let's get outside. And let's talk about this area over here. We're gonna try and do as much of this as I can with the rest of the episode and the time that I have to make it. And in order to do that, we need to gather some materials, because not only are we placing down trees, I've had tons of wonderful suggestions for different types of materials we can include in this area. So putting in some rocky formations down the bottom, really great idea. Thanks for all the suggestions, by the way, if you were suggesting in the comments. I'm going to put some grass down. We're going to put ferns and bone meal, that stuff, so there's grass on it. Some dead bushes I think could look pretty cool in places. And then there's just a few other materials here, right? Vines are some of those materials. Lily pads are going to be some of those materials. And I don't have a vine farm. I remember building one last season, but have I built one this season? Anyway, this is what it's going to be for now. And the vines might spread around the iron here, and I can't help but feel that might end up looking really cool, because the iron golems themselves have a little bit of like viney stuff on their texture, don't they? Yeah, perfect example, right? They got vines growing over the iron, so it might match. It might match. And also, you may notice this thing over here, now an iron golem head. This was a suggestion by Ghostman number 1. If you are watching, number 1 Ghostman, I appreciate your suggestion on Twitter. Tweeted me this idea, just basically use that instead of a lever. That's pretty cool, and I love that the iron golem head gets left in like different positions. If anything, if someone's like visiting the area, it might encourage them to go, that's not the right way up, and then they'll click on it and it'll open. And of course, really simple redstone back here if you don't know how to do this stuff. We are basically detecting the change in the signal strength, right? So every time we click that, we create a change here, and this thing creates a 1-tick pulse, and that redstone block is basically a T flip-flop with the sticky piston, meaning it's either going to be in this position or where it is now and not powering the redstone. Easy peasy, it should be to understand. I hope it is. Let me know if you understood that. It'd be nice to hear if people get the terminology or not, because hearing things like T flip-flops pretty confusing, I know. There's something else, something else I reminded myself of. So I talked about putting some carpet on top of these blocks, and quite a few people suggesting that I try stone pressure plates. That, whew, way nicer than any carpet would look, and gives it just a tiny little bit of 3D-ness going on, you know. That's an excellent suggestion. We are absolutely doing that. I really like the change as well, because it's lighter than the grey of the Chacha wood, so it makes a big difference, I think, and that is looking superb. Right, anyway, I got a whole bunch of trees to chop down. It's time for some music, time for a time lapse. We're going to be building a road, well, this path even, and it's going to go out into the swamp, and it'll all make sense with the time lapse. Now that was a lot of fun, and I used the replay mod to make that time lapse, which is why the camera is able to move around, and I'm supposed to put a link in the description box whenever I use that, so please go and check for me in case I forgot, and scream an angry comment at me assuming you forgot, because I generally forget everything, don't I? Us YouTubers, we're terrible at remembering. Look at this, grass has been spreading, we must stop it, and the only way I know how is by right clicking. Well, I can obviously break the block, but this I thought was pretty quick and pretty fast. We can come around and turn this to whatever it'll be in the future, but yeah, where I laid out the path first with grass blocks, I placed it above the end here, and of course it can spread down by quite a few blocks. So it jumped from this height down to here, and then it's been spreading, which is no good. I don't want grass spreading around in this area, goodness me. Oh, and this project, by the way, if you know what we're doing here, we're going to get to that soon. I'm really looking forward to that project as well. There is just so much stuff to do on our island. It is amazing, and I think that is most of the grass gone. Yep, all gone. I checked the underside as well, so we're good. We're in the clear, and let's walk through the path. This will soon be surrounded by trees, as we're going to be going around the outside there. There's going to be some trees between this and that project, and we're going to end up building something in the middle as well. But right now I think what I'm going to do is plant down more trees, right? You can also see a big mob of trees over there. I made a little tree farm, and I chose an amazing place to put it as well. I decided to put them up on top of the vines. It makes no sense. It's just the way I do things, peeps. I know, it's just the way I do things. Now what are you doing? You're being a silly goose. This iron golem wants to go over in that direction for some reason, and I don't really know how you would fix this, because they need the too wide gap here. I guess maybe if the water was lower overall, it might go higher and get pushed onto there, but I'll think on that one. And I'll fall down into this hole, apparently. I came over here to grab some shears because I've been growing trees around here. And boy, oh boy, does this take like a fair bit of time to do. And I love this area when it's dark, actually. But I love looking through the gaps. And there's just so much going on everywhere. It's really awesome. And these stone pressure plates look awesome. They've really done the trick. As you can see here, though, the leaves come a little bit low. And I was going to grab these and just trim this back a little bit. I kind of like it at the same time. I think this is going to end up looking a little bit obvious that I've come over here and trimmed it. We get rid of that one as well. Actually, that kind of works, I think. I think we can get away with that one there. Yeah, it's looking real superb, this area. So I went out of my way this episode to make a flower farm and I ain't placed down a single flower yet. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And I pictured myself putting this on top of grass. Do you know what? I think the green, I don't think it's going to work. Let's grab some coarse dirt and throw that down there. And just where there's the right amount of space, this area is actually a lot denser than this side. So let's start over here. Where there's a little bit more water, we're going to just chuck in a couple of blocks. We're going to throw down one of those as well. Oh, yeah. Of course. Of course that would turn into concrete. Okay, so that one's out of the equation. Let's just put down a few more of these blocks and then just chuck some of the flowers on them. I feel like the grass ain't going to work. Like, we're adding another strong colour into here. But maybe. And then those things on that by itself, not so sure about either. Not too sure about anything right now, am I? Let's put some bone meal on top of this as well, because we can have grass, we can have long grass in here. I actually feel like blue ain't the colour to mix, sorry, green ain't the colour to mix in here. The blue flowers are nice, so maybe if we just had odd little bits of dirt with flowers on it, it would look okay. So I've sprinkled them about a bit, and I think too much overall, but they totally fit in there. And the coarse dirt actually works really well. Let's go over to where we start to see the grass, although, maybe the occasional one of those. I'm not sure. I think you can get away with it because there's a lot of green up above. And peeps, my plans for today, they were extravagant. I thought we would be doing this entire area. I disappoint myself when I record, but I just have this habit of wanting to do so much and then not really thinking about how long things actually take, right? It's kind of like unrealistic because it took me about 30 minutes to an hour to just do all of that area there and grow those trees because you've got to chop down the roots and build them around the trees that you've grown, and there's just a lot going on. Anyway, this is where we're going to end the episode. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. Thank you as always for the support, and I will see you in the next episode of Hermitcraft. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.